Tim Finnegan lived in Walking Street, a gentle Irishman, mighty odd. He'd a beautiful brogue, so rich and sweet, and a rise in the world he carried a hot. You see, he'd a sort of a different way, with a love for the liquor for Tim was born. To help him on with his work each day, he'd a drop of the cradle every morn. Wipe for the now, dance to your partner, wipe the floor, your brother's shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegans Wake. One morning Tim was rather full, his head felt heavy which made him shake. He fell from the ladder and he broke his skull, so they carried him home, his corpse to wake. They rolled him up in a nice clean sheet, they laid him out upon the bed, with a gallon of whiskey at his feet and a bottle of porter at his head. Wipe for the Dano, dance to your partner, wet the floor, your brother's shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegans Wake.
Finnegans Wake, an American-Irish song, indeed about an Irish New York bricklayer called Tim Finnegan, who used to drink rather a lot, and one day, climbing his ladder at work, he fell from the ladder right to the ground, and everybody thought he was dead. So they had a wake, they laid out the corpse, and they all began to drink round it. And during the drinking, there was a bit of a row, a bit of noise, a bit of fighting, and a gallon of whiskey flew from hand to hand, and some of it spilt on the corpse of Tim Finnegan. And the result was that the corpse suddenly sprang back to life again, and Tim Finnegan said, "Source the devil, do you think I was dead?" A nice little story, and a story that would appeal to an Irish writer like James Joyce, very much a man of the people, because in this story of an ordinary man, he saw a story of man's fall and man's resurrection. In a bigger sense, he saw a picture of man sinning, because sin is one half of creation, and all great creators have been great sinners. And then the cities are built, and man falls. Great men, small men, rise and fall, rise and fall. Go on building, go on sinning, all over the world, in China, in France, in America, and man himself, the creator, the sinner, became the subject of the novel that Joyce wrote after his big novel, Ulysses. Ulysses was an attempt to show everything that a man could do in the daylight. But when it came to writing Finnegans Wake, Joyce had to turn to the nighttime and write a book about a dream. And the hero of this long dream, which is the novel Finnegans Wake, is a pub keeper, an Irish pub keeper, or rather a pub keeper of an Irish tavern, rather like any of these people up there on the wall. He is, however, a foreigner. He's a Scandinavian, and he's a Protestant, not a Celt, and a Catholic. And he knows he's not greatly liked by his customers, they don't trust him, and moreover, he has a very great sin on his soul, a very vague sexual sin, but it's there. And in the dream that he sees himself as sinning man, as great sinning man, who consoles himself for his sin by the knowledge that he has power, that he has the capacity for rule, the capacity for creation. He sees himself, for instance, as another great Irish hero, Jonathan Swift, who loved a couple of girls and shouldn't have loved them because they were really his daughters in God. Sees himself as John Stuart Parnell, who fell in love with Kitty McShea, who was a married woman, and this did no good to his political career. As the dream develops, we get into literature, away from pure history, and Joyce imposes on his dreaming character the figure of Ibsen, who created a personage called the Master Builder, who again fell in love with a young girl and dared God by building high buildings, and then fell. And this general picture of falling man, rising man, is incarnated in this dream character whose name is Humphrey Chimpton Earwicker. Earwicker is a Scandinavian name. Humphrey suggests the hump on the back of all men, the hump of guilt. In the dream, Humphrey Chimpton Earwicker has a stutter, and the stutter is the stutter of guilt. He is potentially a politician, but he knows that the Irish will not easily accept him. under the name of Earwicker. So in the dream, the name Earwicker becomes the word earwig. It's translated into French, to perce-oreille, and then perce-oreille becomes Perce-O'Reilly. So perpetually in the dream, Earwicker's trying to see himself as an Irishman capable of leading the Irish people. But he's committed a sin. We don't know what the sin is. It seems to have happened in the Phoenix Park. It seemed to involve two young girls, two colleens, and everybody's heard about it. And when they hear about it, this is the beginning of the fall of a great man. The fall of any great man, any great politician. Anyway, here is the song they sing, the Ballad of Perce-O'Reilly. It's full of dream language in which this one man, Earwicker, or O'Reilly, becomes all the great men who have fallen. Have you heard of one Humpty Dumpty, how he fell with a roll and a rumble, and curled up like Lord Oliver Cromwell by the butt of the magazine wall, hump, helmet and all. He was one time our king of the castle, now he's kicked about like a rotten old parsnip, and from Green Street he'll be sent by order of his worship to the penal jail of Mountjoy. To the jail of Mountjoy, jail him and joy. He was father of all schemes for to bother us. Slow coaches and immaculate contraceptives for the populace. Mare's milk for the sick, 7 dry Sundays a week. Open air love and religion's reform. And religious reform, hideous in form. Hannah, why, says you, couldn't he manage it? I'll go bail my fine dairyman darling, like the bumping bull of the Cassidys. All your butter is in your horns, his butter is in his horns, butter is horns. Hurrah there, Frosty, Frosty, Hosty, change that shirt on ye. Rhyme the Ran, the king of all Rans, Balbuccio, Balbaccio. We had chaw, chops, chairs, chewing gum, the chicken pox and china chambers, universally provided by this soft-soaping salesman. Small wonder he'll cheat Erewhon, our local lads nicknamed him, when Chimpton first took the floor, with his bucket stock store, down Bargain Way Glore. So snug he was in his hotel premises sumptuous, but soon will bonfire all his trash tricks and trumpery, and 'tis short till Sheriff Clancy'll be winding up his unlimited company, with a bailiff's bomb at the door, bim-bam at the door, then he'll bomb no more. Sweet bad luck on the waves washed to our island, the hooker of that hammerfast Viking, and Gaul's curse on the day when a Blana Bay saw his black and tan man-o'-war, on the harbour bar. Where from rose Poolbeg, cooking halfpence, he bawls Donawa, Skimpittle, Wick and Wiping Fampany, Fingal MacOscar, Onysign, Barge, Arts Boniface, Thot's mine Gamelhold Norvig Gickers moniker, August A.R. at Gamelhor near Vickers Cod. A Norwegian camel old cod. He is, bigod. Lift it, hosty, lift it, ye devil, up with the Ran, the rhyming Ran. It was during some freshwater garden pumping, or according to the nursing mirror while admiring the monkeys, that our heavyweight heathen Humphrey made bold a maid to woo. Woo-hoo, what'll she do? The general lost her maiden Lou. He ought to blush for himself, the old hay-headed philosopher, for to go and shove himself that way on top of her. Begob is the crooks of the catalogue of our antediluvial zoo. Messrs. Billig and Coo, Noah's larks, good as new. He was jolted by Wellington's monument, a rotorious hippopotamus, when some bugger let down the backtrap of the omnibus, and he caught his death of Fusiliers with his rent in the rears. Give him 6 years. 'Tis sore pity for his innocent poor children, but look out for his missus legitimate. When that fru gets a grip of old Earwicker, won't there be earwigs on the green? Big earwigs on the green, the largest ever you've seen. Sophocles, Shakespeare, Pseudo-Dante, and like Moses. Then we'll have a free trade Gales band and mass meeting for to sod the brave son of Scandinavia, and we'll bury him down in Oxman's town, along with the devil and Danes, with the deaf and dumb Danes, and all their remains. And not all the king's men nor his horses will resurrect his corpus, for there's no true spell in Connaught or hell that's able to raise a cane. The clock on the wall of the pub says 11:32. And this is there to remind Earwicker of something. The song that's been sung about him is about a man falling. About the song we first heard, Finnegans Wake, is a song about a man rising after falling. And if Earwicker looks at this time on the clock and works out what 11:32 means, he will come to the conclusion that falling and rising are combined in the same cycle, because 32 is a symbol of falling. A man falls, anybody falls, at the rate, the velocity, of 32 feet per second. But if we want to give ourselves a symbol of rising again, well, we have to count on all our 10 fingers, and to continue with 11, we have to start again. So 11 is the figure for rising, and 32 is the figure for falling. Not only is 11:32 there forever on the clock, the timeless clock of this timeless dream, but it's also there on the calendar. The action of the story of the dream takes place in this year 11:32, in the month of February, incidentally, which was the month of Joyce's birth, but a month that looks forward to spring and resurrection. 11:32, 11 the symbol of rising, 32 the symbol of falling. And if you come to think of it, a circle both rises and falls at the same time. It contains 11 and 32 at the same time, and man's life is also 11 and 32, all in one. Also on this calendar, we see a girl, and this girl has something to do with the motivation, the waking motivation of Earwicker's dream. In the dream, the sexual crime is committed is pretty vague, something to do with a couple of girls in the Phoenix Park. But in actual life, Earwicker is very nearly likely to be guilty of the worst crime known to a narrow community like that of the Catholic Irish. He's going to be guilty of a crime that I daren't even speak aloud. Even in this atmosphere, I'm not allowed to write the word down. And in the dream itself, the word is not allowed to be spoken, so we have to change it to this word. Very simple. And this explains, of course, why Earwicker is an earwig, and why so many characters in the dream appear as insects. Why, for instance, this girl appears as a maybug or a butterfly, a gossamer creature flying above the reach of men's hands. Of course, it is Earwicker's daughter. Her name is Isabel, or Izzy, and she appears here as she appears in the dream, in duplicate. Perpetually, she is seen looking at herself in a mirror, kissing herself, the great eternal temptress, the teaser, whom Earwicker wants because, in a curious way, he's being loyal to his family. He wants to keep sex in the family, and his wife is aging. They're both past the stage of being sexually attracted to each other. So there we are. Isabel, Izzy, who gives her name, indeed, to the place where the pub is, Chapel Izzard, Iseult, Isolde. And there she is also as a symbol which has been found throughout history. She is Kitty O'Shea, she is Cleopatra, she is Madame du Barry, she is all women who seem to offer themselves but remain as remote as twittering, flittering insects. I mentioned Earwicker's wife. I would say that Earwicker is probably about 50 and his wife is presumably about the same age. They sleep in the same bed this Saturday night while Earwicker has his dream, but they no longer touch each other. There's no longer any sexual commerce. And yet, they are solid images of man and woman. So solid that Joyce is able to turn both Earwicker and his wife almost into algebraic symbols. There's Earwicker. He's always there as an E. And the E not only stands for his surname, but also for everybody. He is all of us. When he's standing upright like that, he's a man, vigorous. But when he is on his back like that, he is very much the insect he appears as so often in his dream. A creature on its back with its legs waving in the air. But he can be converted. into some great god, some ancient monument, some monument as ancient as Finn MacCool, the Irish god giant who is contained in the idea of Finnegan. There he is, as solid and as permanent and as eternal as, say, Stonehenge. His wife, whose name is Anna, appears to us not as an A, but as a Greek delta. And there's a very special reason for this, because she is identified throughout the book with a river. As Earwicker is identified with the city of Dublin, which men have built, so Anna is identified with the river Liffey, on which the river of the city of Dublin stands. Why this delta? Because her full name is Anna Livia Plurabelle, A-L-P, the Latin name of the Liffey being Anna Livia, and Plurabelle meaning full of beauties, because when you turn this upside down, she represents that eternal mystery of woman, not so much a mystery as it was in the time when Joyce was writing the book, the pubic delta. Now, the two sons whom Earwicker has, in addition to this very seductive daughter of his, are, in a sense, made out of these two symbols. The sons are given various names. They're twins and called Kevin and Jerry. But throughout the book itself, throughout the dream, they appear as Shem and Sean, Jim and John. And if we look into Joyce's own life, we can see that that's where they have their spring, because, after all, James Joyce was Jim, or Shem, and his brother Stanislaus was called, very frequently, Brother John. They're twins. Each of them is only half of the egg, the great Humpty Dumpty egg of the father. And to symbolize this lack of primal strength, primal glamour, Joyce does this with these symbols. He says that Sean is no more than his father without the penis. His father totally lacking libido, lacking sexual strength. And the other son, Shem, Jim, the penman, the poet, derives his creative flow from his mother, but he is not the great life-giving delta that Anna Livia Plurabelle is. So this is how he appears. The book resolves itself then not merely into a great symphony of sound, but also into a very simple pattern of geometry. What happens in the book? Well, what happens chiefly is that Earwicker moons hopelessly at this image of his daughter who loves only her own image. And when he has committed this crime in the Phoenix Park, he is driven out of life, buried under Loch Ness, or as Joyce puts it, under Loch and Ness. And now the two sons take over their father's substance, eat it, and fight between themselves for the mastery of the world. They fight, and in fighting, they use up energy. They don't create. They merely oppose each other. And very frequently they appear as such characters as Jack Dempsey, Jim Sharkey. But in history, in the bigger world of history, they are Cain, Abel, Napoleon, Wellington, Parnell, Isaac Butt, any two opposed brothers who, in our own age, seem to typify the state of the political world. We are a world of warring parties. We are a world of warring brothers. And, says Joyce in the book, in effect, what we all want is to get past this stage of division, this stage of wasted energy through contention, and try and arrive back, as the circle turns, to that old image of the authoritative father, the aristocratic ruler, and inside him, the god, the giant, like Finn MacCool, whose name is contained in the name of Tim Finnegan. Finnegans Wake, like Ulysses, is a book about Dublin. It ransacks Dublin. And although Joyce lived out of Dublin for the greater part of his life, Dublin was the one city that lived on in his brain and was the only subject for his books. I suppose Dublin is the ultimate city. It's small enough for people to know each other. It's a city built upon drink, built upon social, if not sexual intercourse, a city in which man is aware of himself as a citizen. And in Finnegans Wake, the ultimate achievement is to build a city like Dublin. Every man has it in himself to be a builder. Even a pub keeper is building a kind of society. And so we're not surprised when, towards the end of the book, Earwicker ends up not just as the sinning family man, but as the god himself, Finn MacCool, whom Joyce sees as the ultimate image of Finnegan, the builder, Tim Finnegan of the song. But every city has to have a river to be built upon. Man is not complete without woman. And just as Dublin is built on the River Liffey, so Earwicker or Finnegan, the ultimate family man, owes everything to this force, this flowing, various, changing, unchanging force that is femininity and is ultimately incarnated in the river. So at the very end of the book, it isn't man we hear from, but woman. And the particular woman we hear from is the wife of Finnegan, the River Liffey, who is aware that man changes, man is untrustworthy, man yearns for younger flesh. But she herself growing old, the river with the filth of man's building on her back, will flow into the sea. And in the sea she'll be reborn, she'll rise into the air as clouds, and the clouds will pass down past the city, upstream, and fall as rain, refreshing the river. So if man is a cycle, woman is a cycle too. And the two cycles geared together produce human life. Here is Anna Livia Plorabelle, the woman, the wife, who is also the river, taking her farewell as she leaves the house and flows into her father, the sea. You're changing, son, husband, and you're turning, I can feel you, for a daughter-wife from the hills again. Im Lamaya. And she is coming, swimming in my hindmost. Divil take him on my tail. Just a whisk, brisk, sly, spry, spink, spank, sprint of a thing, there's some air. Saltering, salter come to her own. I pity her old self I was used to. Now a younger's there. Try not to part. Be happy, dear ones. May I be wrong? For she'll be sweet for you as I was sweet when I came down out of me mother. Me great blue bedroom, the air so quiet, scarce a cloud. In peace and silence, I could have stayed up there for always only. It's something fails us, first we feel, then we fall, and let her reign now if she likes, gently or strongly as she likes. Anyway, let her reign, for my time is come. I done my best when I was let, thinking always, if I go, all goes. 100 cares, a toy that troubles, and is there one who understands me? One in 1,000 of years of the nights. All my life I have been lived among them, but now they are becoming loathed to me. And I am loathing their little warm tricks, and loathing their mean cozy turns, and all the greedy gushes out through their small souls, and all the lazy leaks down over their brash bodies. How small it's all, and me letting on to myself always, and lilting on all the time. I thought you were all glittering with the nobleness of carriage. You're only a bumpkin. I thought you the great in all things, in guilt and in glory. You're but a puny. Home, my people were not their sort, out beyond there, so far as I can. For all the bold and bad and bleary they are blamed, the sea hags. No, for all our wild dances and all their wild din. I can see myself among them, Alla Nuvia, pulchre-belled. How she was handsome, the wild Amasia, when she would seize to me other breast. And what is she weird, haughty Niluna, that she will snatch from my ownest hair? For 'tis there the storm is. Ho, hang, hang ho, and the clash of our cries till we spring to be free. Ora voles, they says, never heed of your name. But I'm loathing them that's here, and all I loathe. Lonely in me loneness, for all their faults, I am passing out. Oh, bitter ending. I'll slip away before they're up. They'll never see, nor know, nor miss me. And it's old and old, it's sad and old, it's sad and weary. I go back to you, my cold father, my cold, mad father, my cold, mad, fiery father, till the near sight of the mere size of him, the miles and miles of it, moan a moaning, makes me sea silt salt sick, and I rush my only into your arms. I see them rising, save me from those terrible prongs. 2 more, 1, 2 more, men's more. So, Ave Leval, my leaves have drifted from me, all, but one clings still. I'll bear it on me to remind me of, so soft this morning ours. Yes, carry me along, Taddy, like you done through the toy fair. If I seen him bearing down on me now under white spread wings like he'd come from archangels, I think I'd die down over his feet, humbly dumbly, only to wash up. Yes, Tid, there's where. First, we pass through grass, be hushed the bush to. Whoosh! A gull, gulls, far calls, coming, far, end here. Us then, Finn again, take, bust of clee, memor me, till thousands the lips, the keys to, given, away alone, alas, loved along The book seems to end with the word the. You can't end a book with the word the, so you have to start at the beginning again and find that the book begins with the ending of a sentence, and the book ends with the beginning of a sentence. In other words, it's cyclical, it's circular, like life itself, celebrating the process of building and falling and building again, and celebrating that natural process which we see in water, whereby river flows into sea, and sea becomes cloud, and cloud becomes rain, and rain becomes river, and river becomes sea, and sea becomes cloud, and cloud becomes rain. And the whole mad cycle of life that goes on forever.
Finnegan lived in Walking Street, a gentle Irishman, mighty odd. He'd a beautiful brogue, so rich and sweet, and to rise in the world he carried a hot. You see, he'd a sort of a tippling way, with a love for the liquor, poor Tim was born. To help him on with his work each day, he'd a drop of the crater every morn. Wipe from the Dano, dance to your partner, wipe the floor, your brother's shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegans Wake. One morning Tim was rather full, his head felt heavy which made him shake. He fell from the ladder and he broke his skull, so they carried him home, his corpse to wake. They rolled him up in a nice clean sheet, they laid him out upon the bed, with a gallon of whiskey at his feet and a bottle of porter at his head. Back from the Dano, dance to your partner, wipe the floor, your brother's shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegans Wake. His friends assembled at the wake, and Mrs. Finnegan called for lunch. First they brought in tea and cake, then pipes, tobacco and whiskey punch. Biddy up.
Well, you know, don't you tell it, or haven't I told you, every telling has a tailing, and that's the he and the she of it. Look, look, the dusk is growing. My branches lofty are taking root, and my cold chair's gone ashley. Philo, Philo. What age is that? It soon is late. 'Tis endless now since I or our one last saw Waterhouse's clock. They took it asunder, I heard them sigh. When will they reassemble? Oh, my back, my back, my back. I'd want to go to Aixley. In time, there's the bell for sextolitis at Concepta de Fendus Spray. Time. Bring out the clothes, ring in the dew. God of our avert the showers and grant thy grace, amen. Will we spread them here now? Aye, we will. Flip, spread on your bank, and I'll spread mine on mine. Flip, it's what I'm doing. spread. It's churning chill, their went is rising. I lay a few stones on the hostel sheet, a man and his bride embraced between them, else I'd have folded and sprinkled them only. And I'll tie my butcher's apron here, it's suety yet, the strollers will pass it by. 6 shifts, 10 kerchiefs, 9 to hold to the fire and 1 for the code, the convent napkins 12, 1 baby shawl. Good Mother Justice knows, she said. Who said? Mother snores. They attach. Where now are all her children saved? In kingdom gone, or power to come, or glory be to them, Father. All alluvial, all alluvial. Some here, more no more again lost or a stranger. I heard tell that same brooch of the Shannons was married into a family in Spain, and all the dunders the done in Markland's Vineland beyond Brendan's herring pool takes number 9 in Yankee's hat. And one of Biddy's beads went bobbing till it rounded up lost history with a marigold and a cobbler's candle in a side strain of a main drain of a man's in a hurry's off bachelor's walk. But all that is left to the lost of the Mars, in the loop of the ears, prefixed in between, is 1 knee buckle and 2 hooks in the front. Do you tell me that now? I do in troth. Or rather prod et pour las animas. O Saula, we're umbers all. Monsieur, didn't you hear it a deluge of times? Over and over, respond to spond. You did, I need. It's that ear of wadding I've stuck in my eye. It all but hush beneath the sound. Oh, Ronoko, what's your trouble? Is that the great Finn leader himself, in his Joe Kimona, on his statue riding the high horse there for Hengist? Father of authors, it is himself. Yon there, is it that? On Fallerine Common, you're thinking of Astley's amphitheatre, where the bobby or a stranger making sugar-stuffed coats to the ghost white horse of the peppers. Throw the cobwebs from your eyes, woman, and spread your washing proper. It's well I know your sort of slop. Ireland sober as Ireland stiff. Lord, help you, Maria, full of grease, the Lord is with me. Your prayers. I thought so, Madam Angot. Were you lifting your elbow till us glazy cheeks in Conway's Carrigacorra canteen? Was I what hobbledy hips? Flop. Your rear gates creak or Roman, bit your butts disagree. Haven't I up since the damp dawn? Martha and Mary, all of who, with Corrigan's pulse and varicose veins, my pram axle smashed, Alice Jane in decline, and my one-eyed mongrel twice run over, soaking and bleaching boiler rags, and sweating cold, a widow like me, for to deck my tennis champion son, the laundryman with the lavender flannels. You won your limp-a-paw limp from the fusty hussars, when collars and cuffs was heir to the town, and your slur gave the stink to Carlo. Holy Samanda! I saw it again, near the Golden Falls. I see on it, sense of life. There. Subdue your noise, you humble creature. What is it but a blackberry growth? Or that dwyer grey ass and 4 old codger's owns? Are you meaning Tarpey and Lyons and Gregory? I mean now thank all the 4 of them, and the roar of them, that drave that stray in the mist, and old Johnny McDougal along with them. Is that the pool-bag flasher beyond? Far, or a fireboat coasting nigh the Kishna, or a glow I behold within a hedge, or my Gary come back from the Indies? Wait till the honeying of the loon, love. Die, Eve, little Eve, die. We see that wonder in your eyes. We'll meet again. We'll part once more. The spot I'll seek is the hour you'll find. My chart shines high where the blue milk's upset. Forgive me quick, I'm going. Goodbye. And you pluck your watch, forget me not. Your even load, so safe to journey's end. My sights are swimming thicker on me by the shadows to this place. I so home slowly now by own way, my valley way. Towie I too, Rathmine. Ah, but she was the queer old scousha anyhow, Anna Olivia Trinket toes. And sure he was the queer old bunce too, dear dirty dumpling, who's their father of Fingalls and Dottergills. Gaffer and Gammer were all their gangsters. Hadn't he 7 dams to wive him, and every dam had her 7 crutches, and every crutch had its 7 hues, and each hue had a differing cry. Suds for me and supper for you, and the doctor's bill for Joe John. Before, he married his markets cheap by foul, I know, like any Etrurian Catholic heathen, in their pinky, lemony, creamy burnies and their Turkish Indian molds. But at milked mass who was the spouse? Then all that was fair, 'tis elven land, teams of times and happy returns, the same anew. Ordo vico or vi ricordo, Anna was, Livia is, plura bells to be. Northmen's thing made South folks place, but how multiplurators make each one in person, Latin me that may Trinity scholared, out of your Sanskrit into our Aryan. Circus civis eblanensis, he had buckcoat paps on him, soft ones, for orphans. Oh, Lord, twins of his bosom, Lord save us. And ho, hey, what all men, hot, his tittering daughters of. Walk, can't hear what the waters of, the chittering waters of. Glittering bats, field mice, balk, talk. Oh, are you not gone a home? What Tom Malone can't hear the balk of bats, all the Lithian waters of. Oh, talk, save us. My goose won't move. I feel as old as yonder elm. A tale told of Sean or Shem, all Livia's daughter son. Dark hawks hear us. My whole head falls. I feel as heavy as yonder stone. Tell me of Sean or Shem. Who were Shem and Sean, the living sons and daughters of? Night now, tell me, elm. Night, tell me tale of stem of stone, beside the rivering waters of, hither and thithering waters of. Night,